Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios. We have a lot of special guests today. We have PIO Hagstrom, we have Officer McClarty, and we have Whitney. And Whitney is a dispatcher for Nevada State Police. Thank you all for coming. I greatly appreciate spending time.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good to see you again.
We talked last week, and when we had the major on, and one of the critical things that the major said was that he needed dispatchers. We need all Nevada State Police, but especially when it comes to the dispatchers, it's very important. So I want to start off with you, Whitney.
Mm-hmm.
We laughed when I said to you, you must be a very calm person and you must be very good at multitasking. And we talk about the fact that you have to talk to the trooper, answer the phone, look at a screen, look at a monitor, talk to people, remember what you're doing, remember to eat lunch. I mean, like, all these things are in your mind.
Right.
So to be a dispatcher takes a very special person. And so I want to start off at the beginning.
Okay.
When you wanted to become a dispatcher, because our goal is that we want to try to get people who are maybe watching and sitting at home and they go, this might be something I would be interested in. So take us through the beginning. You were interested in police, you were interested in dispatch. Talk to us a little about that.
Yeah, so prior to this, I was a cocktail server for several years. I left cocktailing to be an LAPD officer. I was in the LAPD Academy. That obviously did not work out because I'm here now. But when I moved back to Nevada, I knew that I still wanted to be part of this entity, this law enforcement, government, first responder entity. And so I applied for multiple agencies, dispatching, less, things of that sort. And I got hired on by Highway Patrol, State Police, with no prior experience. I had never been on a radio before. I had not done security. I had not done anything of the type. Like I said, I was a cocktail server. Prior to that, I was a retail person. So I started from scratch, and with my family background, I just knew that helping people was something that I wanted to do. And if it wasn't in the law enforcement sworn side, it was dispatch.
And Officer McClarty, with what you do for the parole and probation, you're talking to the dispatch and you're explaining to them what you need done and things of this nature, and so you're in communication with the dispatch. And so talk to us about when you call the dispatch, how you have to be so that you can help them do their job.
We are, and you mentioned all the tasks that they have to do with their mind, right?
Yeah.
Parole and probation is another task, so just add another to that basket that you were talking about. So our interactions are a little bit different, right? So we're calling out that we're going to somebody's home. You have to be, and honestly, I can't do their job. Just looking at our screen here, they have, how many monitors you monitor? You have 3
4,
screens and then a
radio screen.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like I am a multitasker, but when I'm looking at that, it's just that closed environment, and I'm like, wow, they have a phenomenal job to do. The interactions that we have with them is much needed, and kudos to her still looking for that job, but it is a tough job.
And like, because when you go out to somebody's house, it's like, you need information, and you need information at an expedited rate, because who knows what's happening, like who's behind the door, who's who, and so it's very, very important. And so we need dispatchers.
We definitely need dispatchers, and we need select few that have that multitask ability. We need the people that are ready to work, because that job is tough. So when we're in somebody's home, we're maybe we're running somebody, we're sitting in somebody's house. We don't want to be there, for a long time. And having the ability to not only talk to troopers, talk to parole and probation officers, that job is very important.
And PIO Hagstrom, I love this. You know what I'm saying? we were laughing before because of how many years of service you have,
Sure,
right? And
sure.
that you came back to be the PIO for the Nevada State Police, and part of your position is to talk to the media and do all these things and help us. And one of the ways that you're aiming to help is to try to find more dispatchers, because when we had that meeting last week on Trooper Talk with the Major, you could see it in his eyes how much he said it. When we talked to Whitney right before, she said, 2 more elite. You know what I mean? It's really, really important.
Yeah, and I came back. We really want to inform and educate the public, and that's the main thing, is bring everything, bring these people in, dispatching. Nevada State Police, we're always hiring and looking for actually, like I said last week, the Nevada's finest. One of the things about dispatchers, they're our lifeline. When we're troopers out there, that's who we're talking to. When we got somebody pulled over and we're running them through dispatch to find out if we got a bad guy or if everything's clear, everything goes through them, and they know through our voices and everything else if everything's going okay, and they are virtually our lifeline. They do so much behind the scenes that they don't get credit for, and she'll probably be talking about that a little bit later too. So
Yeah, Johnny and I had the rare privilege. We went with Trooper Wellman into the war room upstairs.
Oh yeah.
Right, and then we were able to look down and see like all the monitors, and and at that time there was the supervisor of dispatch, right, and he had a phone on this shoulder, a phone on this shoulder, right. He's on a radio. He's looking at monitors. He's tight. I mean, like it was really astonishing. You know what I mean? And so, Whitney, when it comes to helping you and all of the dispatchers, right? We need to find dispatchers. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions. Can it be a man or a woman? Doesn't
Absolutely.
matter.
No, it
Doesn't
doesn't matter. We
matter.
have men that dispatch and women that dispatch.
And you don't need to be a sworn officer,
Correct.
right, to do the dispatch.
Correct. You don't even have to have prior experience. All the training that is required, you gain through the Dispatch Academy. If I'm not mistaken, you're in the Dispatch Academy for about 6 months in a classroom. You're learning geography because, we dispatch for the entire state of Nevada. You could be talking to a dispatcher in Reno for a call, in Las Vegas. So all the training that you need, you gain through the academy, and then you have training one-on-one with a trainer, a dispatcher, and that takes about another 6 months. So the total training is about a year, 6 months in the classroom, give or take, and 6 months on the floor, give or take.
And Officer McClarty, training. We always talk about you on Trooper Talk. You're out there Saturday morning, somebody calls you and says, I need to go for a run to make sure that I'm up to qualifications. You're like, yep, I'll meet you at Nevada, at the Southern Command at 6 a.m. I'll be there. But you make sure that you're there. Like, don't waste time, right? And so it's very important for you from the trooper side, right, which is a different academy, just like Whitney said. So explain to us that, if somebody wants to be a trooper versus part of the dispatch.
Right, and both, like she said, you don't need prior experience. There is minimum requirements that you have to have, age 21, no prior felonies, things like that, high school diploma, GED. But there is no prior experience, because we will teach you everything to bring you up to speed to what we, Nevada State Police requires. Our academy is 21 weeks long. You do an advanced academy, which is specific to the division that you chose. With us, we actually have the luxury of picking a division, whereas if you go to a local agency, you're going to be a patrol officer. But with us, you start off wherever you want to be. So you want to be a trooper, you can be a trooper. You want to be a parole and probation officer, you can be a parole and probation officer. So when you start off with the testing process, you test with the fitness, the written exam, you get a conditional offer letter, and that's where you get to pick the division you want to go to.
And that division, we had a Trooper Schlater on here who specializes in, he loves the DUIs, right? Like it's like you could tell him, he knew everything. You know what I mean? And not only he knew, but like he was very excited to talk one week about the alcohol, and he's like, "Can I come back the next week and talk about the marijuana?" You know what I mean? Like, and so it's very important because you are risking your life every single day, and so you need to be passionate about what you do. And I come back to the fact of how long you've been into law enforcement, that you came back. And so it's very commendable because the Nevada State Police needs help. But they need help by good people that want to change their life and change other people's lives for the positive too. You know, it's very important, you know, and I'm going to ask all of you, but, you know, you get to change somebody's life every day because somebody's crazy on the phone and you're like, just calm down, let me help you. And for you, you know, we talk about the parole and probation. You know, people make bad choices sometimes in life, but it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. And so you're able to go to them and talk to them and get them back into society so that they're changing their lives. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, on the dispatch side, not every call is a life-changing call, obviously, right? You know, I ran out of gas in the middle of nowhere in Nevada in Esmeralda County, and I don't know what a mile marker is, and I don't know where I am or what highway I'm on. And a majority of our calls are similar to that. You know, I ran out of gas, I was in an accident, a fender bender, you know, a rollover, whatever it may be. So not every call is quote unquote that life-saving call, but then you do get, you know, you do get those life-saving calls, a domestic, you know, someone trying to get away from their spouse, you know, someone who's been in the middle of nowhere with no service for days, and, you know, they just need assistance or whatever it may be. And it's, as a dispatcher, you know, you get so many calls a day that you forget that every now and then you do get that one call where you are making a huge difference. You know, you are saving someone, you are their lifeline. And as a dispatcher, we do our best to remember that every day among all the, you know, out of gas and car broke down and things like that.
I went to a First Tuesday for Metro, like a couple months ago or whatever it was, and they had at that time they had the dispatchers on from the 911, and they were, you know, it was astonishing, like 330,000 calls in a month to 911. You know what I mean? And you're just, you know, you think about it and you're like, one person, how many phone calls can they take in a day, right? And how many phone calls they have to achieve to be able to not only help the motoring public, right, but they have to help you when you're in dire need. Like, listen, I really need help. I'm a trooper. You know what I mean? Like, there's something gone array here with a traffic stop or whatever it might be, and you need backup. And you need to be able to call and talk to Whitney and say, you know, this is very important now, or, you know, however it is. I'm not putting words in your mouth. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah, it's prioritizing. And what they probably have in the back of their mind too is not every call is an emergency call, but in the moment, that person might be having a personal emergency, whether it's gas, flat tire, or something like that. Their moment is bigger to them because they're in it. So they have to, you know, prioritize it and put themselves in their shoes sometimes, which probably drains them a little bit, especially, you know, with us too. Like, we're in that moment as well. So
Yeah.
that moment, that interaction that we have drains us as well. But we have to keep pushing and know that we're going to change their life, whether it's be, you know, something small. They had a good interaction with us. So next time they see a police officer, they're like, you know, I had a great interaction with them. Maybe I want to be one of them one day, and hopefully that's what we do. And I wanted to touch on the critical field thing.
Yeah, tell me.
So Sean came out of retirement.
Yeah.
And he probably had the interaction of, you know, I still wanted to do a little bit more. So I kind of wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, tell me.
And take
I
over your
wanna
seat
hear
a
it.
little bit. And I wanted him to explain how he came back.
I would love that.
Yeah, it's a brotherhood that you kind of want to come back in a job. You look at other jobs and everything, and I've done it for so long, but it really is, you miss the camaraderie, the guys you work with, going out there, helping people. That's, you know, it takes a special person to be a trooper, and it's not all bad things, like she said. You're out there helping people, making a good image for the department, and trying to do the best for everybody, keep everybody safe and along our roadways and highways across Nevada. So one of the things I do miss all the troopers I used to work with.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot of people I don't even know anymore because
Yeah.
you know I'm one of the old what they would call like a dinosaur. So so it's all these new guys, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm excited for the new guys coming up that are getting taught with Doug getting them into the recruiting stage of it and get the training out there, because we do need new blood, and we need the people out there that are willing to go out there and help people when their greatest needs are needed to be met. So I'm excited to see what happens around the corner here. So.
And I can tell you that, and I'm going to ask him another question, because one of the things that I love about the Nevada State Police is that every time I go to the promotion ceremonies or anything like this, all the hierarchy of Nevada State Police is always there. They're always shaking hands. They're always telling everyone that they appreciate them, and you can see it in the eyes of the people that are getting promoted and or retiring or whatever it might be, that they truly care for them. And so when there's someone of an elder state, that it's not like other law enforcement agencies where the person of elder state is sort of over here and everybody else is over here. The Nevada State Police is very cool because the younger really appreciate the older because they want their knowledge. And so it's really wonderful. And so I want to get back to that, what you said. So,
Yeah, we're kind of.
So tell me, I want to know about you. Now that we brought that up. So
Yeah.
okay. You've been in law enforcement for just over 30 years.
Yeah, actually it's like 29 and a half, a little over 29 and a half. A year and a half I don't really count because of those corrections, but I got 28 years of sworn law enforcement.
Sworn
So,
law
yeah.
enforcement officer. And so when it comes to things that you have seen, you are a wealth of knowledge that you can pass on to everyone else.
Absolutely.
And so when it comes to you being the PIO, what people don't realize is when there's an accident at 3 o'clock in the morning and there's a fatal, you're getting a phone call, right? Listen, you need to go out there and you need to sit with the media so that you can tell the media what's happening, right?
Correct.
So in your way, you have to be a calm person as well. You can't fly off the handle because you're in front of the camera, you're doing all these things, and you're on Trooper Talk, you know what I'm saying? but you know what I mean? Like it's very, very important.
And you really gotta, when you get to those scenes, you have to talk to the troopers and find out what's actually going on. But then on the other hand, you got to be careful what you say, because a lot of it could be a pending investigation, and not all the facts are in yet. But you know, you want to give the media, you want to help the media out and get the story out as much as you can. But you really got to be. You can't come to assumptions. You have to just give them what the facts that you have now, and just let them know that it's a pending investigation. More facts will come out when they come to. One thing I wanted to say about Nevada Highway Patrol too is we're a tight-knit group. We're really a small organization. Statewide, I don't have our numbers as far as troopers right now, but I'm sure we're probably under 400. And if you go to high school and stuff, that's lower than a lot of high school classes, and that's statewide. I think we have like 60 troopers here in the Vegas Valley that are working just in Vegas. And being a city of almost 3 million, we really need to start bumping up those numbers so all those calls get handled and everything else. We're handling all of our calls, and our dedicated troopers are working hard at getting everything done efficiently and effectively, but we're still looking for those troopers, people that want to be troopers to come along here. So.
Well, this is a perfect segue.
Yeah.
All right, listen, I want you to look into that camera right here and tell everybody, like you did last week, you know what I mean?
Sure,
right. That when they want to join Nevada State Police, right? Because when you come onto the scene, when a younger trooper is there, you provide solace. Because maybe that trooper wants to do so many things, and you're like, look, just calm down. I've been there before. And so we need people like you that have maybe been in retirement that want to come back and do more things, or if, just like they both said, have no previous experience, they can get trained. Go ahead.
And also, we're always hiring laterals from other agencies. So
There you
this is
go.
another good thing is if you have law enforcement experience and you're from a smaller agency or you're from out of state, all you have to do is contact our Nevada State Police recruiting, which would be Douglas here, and it's a shorter, probably a half academy. Would you say it's like, what are the academies, like 12 weeks?
It's
maybe?
actually less than half. You would only
Okay.
have to do specifics, which is 8 weeks.
Yeah,
8 weeks.
Yep.
Because you're already a certified law enforcement officer. We're just going to train you into the new laws, get you situated with our range and defensive tactics and all the required things that we have to do to be a certified trooper and post standards for the state of Nevada. So I want to put a shout out for anybody that's looking from out of state or smaller agencies that want to join the Nevada State Police. We will take laterals, and make sure you contact our recruiting. Also, like Douglas said before, if you don't want to be a trooper, there's other means in the Department of Public Safety. We have parole and probation. We touched a little bit last week on State Fire Marshal. I mean, they're a certified law enforcement officer, and they can enforce all laws, but they investigate arsons, and they're more specialized in the fire, like safety and everything else. So everybody in different categories have different things throughout the Department of Public Safety. So you don't have to just be a trooper or parole and probation or dispatch, but we are looking to hire in these functions right now. But there are other options that you can look at while you go to the website for Nevada's Department of Public Safety for Nevada.
And Officer McClarty, now it's your turn, and you tell them that when they need to come and hang out on Saturday or Friday or whatever day it is, you're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And absolutely. So just to start off, like I said earlier, you don't need any experience. Minimum requirements, 21 years of age, and we'll train you up. The academy is only 21 weeks long, which isn't very long at all. If you're borderline, you need a little bit help with the fitness aspect, I put on classes where individualized personal training that we do. I don't believe there's any other agency that does that. We have other agencies that do group fitness, but I do individualized training as well. So if you need help with push-ups, the run, the jump, we'll get you there. To piggyback on the critical field thing, we have requirements for our rookie candidates that just want to start off fresh. Lateral candidates only need 1 year experience from any other agencies that, reciprocity in Nevada. You only need 1 year, an application, and then we'll get you started with that 8 weeks training, and then you go to field training. And it's a quick process. I believe there's no other agency here in Nevada that are actually taking laterals from or at least in Las Vegas area, Henderson, North Las Vegas. I believe North Las Vegas is the only one that actually is taking laterals. But the critical fill, you have to be at least 30 days retired, right? 30 days retired, collecting PERS, and then, or at least collecting your retirement in PERS, and then you're able to come on as a critical fill.
Okay.
So
there's ways to do
essentially,
it.
you're double dipping. He's gaining percentage once he's done towards his max retirement of 75%. He's collecting a retirement check from us, but also his retirement check as well. So he's kind of double dipping.
Right, and that's one of the benefits.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like of what we can do, right? Of what he can do because he's put in his time and he's done all these type of things, right?
And most retirees, they end up getting a second job. Did you have a second job prior?
No,
But you were thinking about it.
Yeah, I was going to get hired by a couple other places, but I
Right.
thought, hey, this is kind of like
Yep.
my home. I've done it for so
Yep.
long, known
Yeah.
it for quite a while, so I'm like, and I know the people, the process, so I'm like, hey, it's easier just to transition back into the job. So.
Right. Because at the end of the day, and again, nothing to do with pay, but you could go get a job for X number of dollars a year, and you're basically doing the same thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's very important, right? Whitney, your turn. All right, you excited now? Huh? I finally got you nervous a little bit. All right, listen. Just do me a favor. Just look in there and just tell people about the fact of being a dispatcher and what it takes and the commitment that you have to make and these type of things, but that it's very special because you're in a secure environment, right? You're
Right.
not out traveling on the roads and all these type of things.
Right. Yeah, so we have multiple different shifts. You know, you've got day shift, swing shift, like in early days, a grave shift. Every shift is different, just like every trooper shift is different. Again, you don't need the training. You do take phone calls and radio at the same time, so a lot of other agencies have specific call takers and specific dispatchers for radio.
All right, so this is one of the things that we do with the Trooper Talk. So let me explain. We used to just talk, and what we found is that it doesn't get the message across. Okay, I've gotten to the assumption that people just don't care. That's why they drive impaired. That's why they speed. They just don't care. And so we had a conversation earlier about different people. You know, that we're trying to get the younger crowd to listen more and things of this nature. And so one of the ways that we do that is now we put up some pictures. Okay? All right. So I don't know these pictures because Johnny puts them together. Okay? But I did see this on every news agency across the valley. And one of the things that's really wonderful that we always try to do is we always want everyone to know that the Nevada State Police cares. The Nevada State Police is fantastic. And on the flip side, everybody loves the Nevada State Police. You know, there might be a few people or whatever, but, you know, it's very, very important. And so when we see things like this, you know, we get very excited because we know that that trooper put his life on the line to save a dog. And I didn't see the whole story, but you know, he was on a road. You know what I mean? So when you get a call like this, you know, you have emotions. Like you're human. You know what I'm saying? Just like we talk about the troopers, right? So talk to us about like this type of call and the emotions that you feel, like, you know, where you like, yes, we got. You know what I mean?
So, you know, we get a lot of dogs on the freeways, especially up in rural areas, you know. But whenever you get a dog down south, obviously we have cameras in the area, so we can watch the direction of travel for the dog, what the dog is doing, if the dog is running in the travel lanes, and same for most calls, you know, if the car is in the travel lanes or what have you. Calls like this was pretty early, late morning hours. I want to say like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, and the dog probably was afraid of the fireworks for New Year's Eve, and yeah, was on the road. And it's always a really happy ending when the trooper is able to catch the dog. And you know, some dogs are terrified and just will take troopers on a wild ride on the highway and run in all the travel lanes and do what they do as dogs. But every now and then you get a trooper that, you know, that is able to catch the dogs or the cats that are just terrified on the roadway. And it's always in dispatch, we're always, you know, cheering them on, watching the cameras, like, yeah, you got him, you know, you got him, you know, and you hope that it doesn't go the other way, obviously, right. As they do sometimes. But this was one of those happy endings where the dog was reunited with their owner that night. He didn't spend a day in puppy jail. Yeah, you know, so we get a lot of dogs on the freeway. Sometimes they're coyotes. Sometimes they just like to roam the freeways. But we really hope for the happy ending with the dog to be reunited with their owners.
But it's one of the things that you do as a dispatcher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't think about it, right? Officer McClarty, when you see this, you know, you go into people's homes, and sometimes you see people at the absolute worst time of their life. And you have to look at them and say, let me just tell you, I know this is really bad, but we're going to work through this together. I'm here for you. Let's figure this out. You know, we had Sergeant Clifton on, and he went over a little bit more of the things that somebody would have to do, certain requirements of parole and probation where they're not allowed to do things or whatever, right? And one of the things that's really important is that if someone does reckless driving and they get a felony, there is a possibility that they're meeting you.
Oh, there's real possibility.
And so they could be going to jail, and their life could be flipped upside down talk to us about how you take that negative situation and you try to flip it into the positive.
Well, just kind of how, like, I'll start off with this because I wanted to talk about this a little bit.
Good.
So negative situation, they have a dog on the freeway. So this trooper prevented, one, an accident, potential save lives there, the dog's life, but then reuniting it with their family is a huge thing. So from a negative to a positive, which is cool.
Yeah.
So when we see these people that we supervise and they're, upside down and whatever problems that they have, we have to look at it to where they could be, or maybe even where they were before. Because a lot of times they'll talk to us and we have personal conversations with them about what they used to have, where they're at now, where they want to be. So when they talk about the lives that they had prior, we want to get them to that. So depending on whether it's a drug addiction, alcohol addiction, things like that, we're there to prevent them going that same direction again. Whether it's giving them sanctions, putting them on a curfew to try to get them away from the tendencies that they had before, trying to get them counseling. We kind of wear multiple hats, right? So we're an officer, or a counselor, we're a big brother sometimes, big sister, things like that. So where we're giving advice of things that maybe we have dealt with in our past, because we've all had, families growing up, we've had family friends growing up that may have had those addictions and those issues to where we can speak to them, not giving personal information or anything like that, but giving experiences that we've had to maybe put them in the right direction.
When you saw this, were you like jumping up and down when you were home, like personally?
I did not jump up and down, but I thought it was a cool story.
Yeah. You thought it was great,
yeah,
though,
no,
right?
it was a cool story,
like that it's very positive, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we all like seeing, positive stories because not everything's got to be negative. And he's happy. Look at him.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I also got to saw that, and this golden
Did you
doodle.
jump up and down?
No, I
Okay.
didn't. I didn't. But you know what? No, but I was giving a high five because I was like, hey, this is awesome because this golden doodle, you got to think, this is a family member. Most people, their dogs are part of the family, and like our dispatcher said, maybe it got spooked, and I'm almost positive that's what happened because of fireworks. It took off from home, gone out a freeway, could have got hit, could have caused a major accident. Right. The troopers are always, putting their lives on the line, trying to get things, not only animals, but like even debris on the road. Just getting out that is very dangerous. Trying to shut down traffic and making sure that cars at 65 miles an hour, 45, are diverting around you so you don't get hit. So this was very positive, and I always love to see these stories, because you don't want nothing to happen to this beautiful animal. And I actually saw that on one of the social media sites, and I'm like, wow, that's great. That's one of the things that we take pride in, of the positive things that happen with troopers. You know what I mean? We get to do some of this good stuff right here for families.
Yeah, so. I wasn't even thinking about now that you bring it up, that you're traveling at 65, 75 miles an hour. And it could cause a major accident. You know what I mean? And we've had where, unfortunately, pedestrians have tried to cross the roadways and been struck. And so
too many this year in the Vegas Valley.
Yeah.
I think we put that up last time. We have 90 some pedestrians.
Yes.
Was it something like that?
Yes.
Just unacceptable. I don't know how we can try to curb that, but this last year was just terrible with pedestrians.
Terrible. So this is a good thing. And
very positive.
And I'm glad that
the golden doodle got back home.
The golden doodle got back home. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
All right. Please celebrate responsibility. Plan ahead for a safe and sober ride. You see all the troopers out there with their smoky hats on, and you know that they mean business. And what people have to understand is that if they break the law,
There's consequences.
there are consequences. And the thing is that if you put a trooper into a position where they look at you and they feel that you are under DUI, you will be arrested. And so, there's no playing around. And so people need to understand. And so when a trooper is on with you and he says, this is the 15th DUI that we got today, or, in the past 2 days, we're going to go over some numbers shortly. You know what I mean? But, you're human, right? So you have to be like, can't these people stop? Like, isn't it enough already? I don't know what to say, but like from a dispatcher standpoint, it's like that's the way I would think about it.
You know, it's hard because you get people who have never been in trouble with law enforcement ever in their life. They're an upstanding citizen. They don't get speeding tickets, things of that sort. But they make one wrong decision and they get arrested, and it changes their life. And you know, as a dispatcher, you feel for them because you know you're running all the information that's needed for the officers, and you're trying to figure out if this is their first DUI or their 5th DUI or what have you. And when it's their first one, you know it's a mistake that people make, right? Driving drunk is a mistake that happens all too often. As a dispatcher, you feel for the people who just change their lives drastically and have no idea what's to come. And then on the other side, you get people who this is their 4th, 5th DUI, and to me, prison time for driving drunk is absurd. Like how could you not stop? You were sitting in prison because you could not handle your drinking and you could not handle yourself behind the wheel. That's crazy to me, you know. A lot of people call in reckless cars. People all day long, I would say probably 50 to 75% of our calls are, hey, I think this person is intoxicated. Hey, you know, they're swerving, they're doing this, they're doing that, they almost hit me, they almost hit the barrier. And so a lot of our job is taking those reckless calls and getting the troopers to the area. But yeah, I mean, these DUIs, and when they result in a fatal accident and it's something that could have easily been avoided, there really is no excuse. Uber and Lyft is plentiful. I mean, we live in one of the biggest cities, one of the most social cities. How can you not call an Uber or a Lyft or a friend? I mean, really, there is no excuse, you know. This year for New Year's Eve, I worked Channel 2, which is primarily the I-15. And on our channel for the I-15, we didn't have as many DUIs as they had on the other channel. I think we had 4 total for the I-15 between the hours of 1800 and when I left at 0400. But previous years, you know, they've been much higher. And so obviously the goal is to reduce those numbers always.
You know, the thing is that we touched on it just a moment ago, but, you know, someone drives, and we found out last week, which I never even thought of, a poly drug, which is taking 2 or 3 different drugs at the same time. I mean, like, you're not messed up enough that you need to take 2 or 3 of these things. But anyway, if, you know, someone needs to know, and people need to know that, like I say, if you want to die, jump off a bridge, right? If you drive drunk, the possibility of you dying or someone else dying is prevalent. And just like Whitney said, you can have a perfectly great life. You could be of whatever age you're at and have wife or husband and kids and house and all these things, and all of a sudden you decided to go out on a party or hang out with friends and do many drugs or one drug, or we touched on it with the Trooper Slater, you know, the marijuana or the prescription drugs or all these things, and all of a sudden they're meeting you because they went to jail and they have to spend $10,000 for lawyers, and I don't know what a prison cell is like, and I never want to find out, because I talk to everybody that's a trooper and they go, you never want to go there. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yeah, so any mind-altering thing is going to make it to where you shouldn't even think about driving, even a bike. Because one, wherever you go, there's a potential of you going some misdirection and causing more pain to you and somebody else. And that's another thing, like we all deal with. She kind of touched on it, was your decision not only affects you directly, but then there are so many, it just branches, because you're going to affect your family, potentially somebody else's family, and it just branches and breaks the glass. Shards go everywhere just from one decision.
One decision. And with parole and probation, when someone and I'm just asking now. So if someone gets out of jail or prison or whatever it is, and they have to go on parole and probation, you have to go there and sort of talk to them, right? I mean, like you said, like you're a counselor to try to, like, they may be going back to a very hostile environment. Like it might not be a good, like you don't get out of jail, then all of a sudden you have a mansion to live in. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to go to people's homes and residence and make sure that things are like good or whatever, right?
Right, and that's part of Parole and Probation's mission is reshaping lives. So we take you from where you end up with us and try to reshape everything about your life, whether it's where you're living at, because we can, in a way, suggest that you go somewhere else because of the environment that you're in. So our goal is to make it the best environment for you to start again and get back to where you were before.
Yeah, I mean, like, and when it comes to the PIO position and you talking to the media and doing all these things, it's a matter of that the media taking what you say so that they can try to not have these type of activities anymore. And so one of the things that I do, and I look at all the news agencies across the valley, they're very good at putting out things. You know what I mean? When there's like a fatal or these type of things, and that falls under your responsibility. And so you coming back and now having to relearn all the troopers and all these things, but you have your knowledge, so when you're able to share that with the media, you're able to explain that.
And one of the good things is we love your program, Neil. And I'm sure all the viewers out there too could say, hey, we really appreciate what you do, Neil, to allow us to get our information out and tell people about the safety and the do's and do nots for going on the road. And what we touched about last time that we filmed, we did a lot on DUI, and that's one of the big things I want to start pushing is on the DUIs, reckless driving, the following too close, the speed, not wearing your seatbelt. But getting back to DUIs, Whitney did a very good job explaining it, in which I did last time too, is if you get a DUI, that can totally upset your whole life as you know it. And we've talked about it before. You probably got to get an attorney, retain attorney, $5,000 to $10,000 there. You got to have special insurance, and it just goes on and on and on from there. Probably put on probation, or you have to do community service, and those are just some of the things. But what if you end up striking somebody or killing somebody on the roadway from your negligence?
And they don't know what they're doing because they're so messed up. And I think that when you harm someone, like I don't know, and I never want to experience anything like this, but you probably never get that psychologically out of your mind. Like part of the trooper talk is we always talk about how we never want to put you as the trooper into your position where you have to pull your firearm or you have to use that or you have to use force or you have to do anything. So we never want to put you into that position. And I feel the same when it comes to these DUIs. I just think that they're forcing everyone to, just like you with the probation. You know what I mean? Like they're forcing you to be in a position that you don't want to be in. You just want to be a nice guy and just be like, listen, this is what you need to do. You know what I mean? It's very simple.
And what we're saying too is we're not saying you can't go out and have fun and go drink and be with friends. One of the things is you always have an Uber, a Lyft, taxi cab. If you had too much to drink, you can leave your car at a casino and have a friend or have a designated driver for that night. We want people to enjoy their times. Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world, so we want people to have a fun time, but just don't drink and drive. Also, mixing drugs and alcohol. When we talk to public, that goes on all the time. And now we've put marijuana into it, so now we have people out there driving high. And it's no different than driving intoxicated because you lose that ability. You don't have the reaction time. So these are the things that everybody has to keep in mind when they had a little bit too much to drink or whatever. do the responsible thing. Don't go out there and drive. That's all we ask. You can have fun and do what you want to do with your friends, but just don't get behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah, I see them all day long. They drive down the road. They think it's like the Cheech and Chong mobile. You know what I mean? The smoke is billowing, and they think that now is the time that they should be driving down the road. These crazy people. Let's see. Oh, what's this one? Graveyard.
This is the
shift
graveyard
on
duty. Yep,
Okay.
Yep. And these are the dedicated troopers that went out on New Year's Eve and over the weekend.
You have some, and we have some stats that we're going to be bringing up soon.
Absolutely. I want to go to the last time that we talked.
Yeah.
We had some stats right around Christmas. And
Go
we
ahead.
had a joining forces get together, which is allied agencies looking for DUI drivers. And they dedicated it to both our fallen troopers, Trooper Abate and Trooper Felix. And during that time, over the weekend, they got 43 DUI arrests. And 28 of them was done by our dedicated troopers out here with that joining
28?
forces. 28. Yeah, so I mean, there's 43 total, but that's just unacceptable. I mean, we shouldn't even have these type of DUIs, and that was right around Christmas time. And we've already put that message out numerous times that, hey, just don't drink and drive. Have somebody else take you. But that's why one of the things I wanted to say, Neil, is that's why we try to hammer it home that just don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
crazy.
There's so many other options at
Yeah.
this rate, this day and age. There's different options to take. There's really no excuse to get behind the wheel.
None. Were you working when Sergeant Abate was?
I was not. No, I was not. I've worked with Trooper Felix. We both started, I believe, in February. His academy was, parallel with mine. So I've worked with Trooper Felix my entire career, but I was not working that night.
I was, I can only imagine what what the troopers went through, because I've talked to a lot of them on a personal level, nothing to do with the trooper talk, and I can only imagine from being behind the scenes where you can't do anything, that you almost that you have a feeling of helplessness.
Well, and it's hard, because it could have been avoided. It could have been avoided. That person, if I'm not mistaken, was intoxicated or, under the influence of whatever he was, and it could have been avoided, as it could have been with, families and of victims and DUI accidents and things like that. At the end of the day, the moral is it can be avoided.
It can be avoided, and I want people to know that there are dire consequences when they do these type of activities. That it's not a matter of just putting the person in handcuffs and they go to jail, and you touched on, you know what I mean? Look, obviously, if you go to jail 5 times and you continue to drink, it's not working.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
You know what I'm
It's a big
saying?
problem.
And so when you, not to get into specifics, right? But it's got to make you mad when you see someone that is doing the same type of activities over and over again, and obviously not learning from whatever it is that you're teaching them. But one of the cool things is that you continue to do it, right? And so even though they may have messed up 4 times, you're like, okay, let me see what I can do for the 5th time, right?
Right. We take somebody's history into account, but they're always starting off fresh. If they see you the first time, we're not going to hold something against you, right? Maybe look at your past history and say, hey, this is what didn't work, so we got to tweak it a little bit, change it around, and see if something else can benefit you in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't want to see these people over and over again. And again, I don't know what the statistics is of how many people are DUI for the first time, and then DUI 2, 3, 4, you know what I'm saying, or this type of thing. And one of the things that you touched on that was actually very interesting that I never thought about, and that's why I love to have everybody keep continuing, right? I'm pulling over, license plate, blah, 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 suspicion of DUI, or however it's read, right, or said, and you now go, oh, well, let me type in Fred Jones, and with a driver's license number, and boom, on your screen, you have what, so that you can relay this information to the trooper, so that they can better assess, the situation.
Yeah.
And so...
It's disheartening to see, when people have that many driving impaired charges. It's just kind of one of those things. It's like, you know, like he said, it affects so many people, not just you, not just your family, but potentially, you know, multiple families, multiple people. I mean, look how it affected the families of our 2 troopers. You know, I mean, too many, right? However many DUIs we got on New Year's Eve, that was too many. You know.
Right. And you probably, and one of the things we don't really touch on, but you probably see the same for speed, right? Trooper pulls somebody over. Yeah, I just caught this guy, you know, 115. Like, yeah, that's his 38th infraction this month. You know what I mean? You know, and they don't care.
No, and you know, I watched a TikTok actually of this officer who had pulled over in another state somebody for driving reckless. They were at a very high rate of speed. It was a brand new car. I don't recall if he cited him. I know that he gave him a stern talking with. That person ended up crashing their car and killing both of them because he took off from this person and sped again. And it's like, you know, people just don't understand the repercussions that come from these decisions. You know, yeah, you're speeding and you may not think it's a big deal, but your reaction time is, you know, you don't have time to react to a pedestrian on the freeway when you're going 90 miles an hour. You don't have time to react to the person that broke down in a travel lane because you're 90 miles an hour on the freeway. You know, people don't think about these things, but when you're speeding like that, and as a dispatcher, you see all of the accidents that could have been avoided, and you know, the fatalities that could have been avoided, and the people that could have been saved because somebody decided to speed or to text or whatever it was. All of these things could have been avoided.
And those things could end up somebody talking to you.
Absolutely.
Right. And so one of the things that we learned is that reckless driving in the state of Nevada could be a felony if it was reckless enough or whatever all these things. But there are certain laws that could deem someone to be a felony and not just a misdemeanor, and then they're going to be talking to you. And
They could see us as a gross misdemeanor as well.
Gross misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, I don't understand that, but it's obviously very bad, right? And so if someone has that, you know, there's a possibility of speaking to you, and like you said, you know, this speed thing. I mean, it's the same thing with the when it comes to the DUI and the impaired driving. The speed thing makes me crazy too, because there is not a night that I drive home that somebody's on, that when I get on the freeway, that somebody cuts over 5 lanes, gets over to the fast lane, and goes like, and you're just like.
The whole state of Nevada feels the same way that you do, because the entire state of Nevada calls endlessly all day, every day, which is great. You know, I mean, we want to get those people off the road. Unfortunately, we need more troopers to do that, right? Which is why we're all here.
Oh, you wanted to tell everyone? Yeah, tell everyone.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, but even us off duty, I mean, driving down the Beltway, I mean, it's 65. You got people doing 90, 100 miles an hour every day. We talked about this over on the last set about, remember when you go on these long road trips and you got the person doing the speed limit, 65. Let's say they do 5 over 70 or whatever, and then you got somebody that speeds past them. And then what's the real time that you're saving? A minute or two, because you're arriving in the same city.
Right.
Within a minute or two, you really never, you wasted more gas.
Right.
You put yourself in a reckless position as well as others where you could have harmed others. And you're arriving maybe 2 minutes later and you really didn't save any time. So, I mean, I don't understand where people get when they're speeding like that, especially around town when you don't have a time to really stop. And let me add one more thing onto it. Like even on the 15, you know, we got a lot of stop and go traffic. We see it all the time. And one of the things that we discussed before is you want to see like a quarter mile ahead of you. If you start seeing those brake lights, start preparing to stop. You know, we got too many falling too close crashes happening all the time. And it's due to people just looking at the end of their hood. And in the car in front of them, they just see the brake lights, but they don't see how many times have people been on the road and all of a sudden you have to come to a complete stop. You think you're going to hit this vehicle and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't hit him. It happens all the time in Vegas because it's like an inchworm. You'll pick up the speed, then you'll stop, you'll slow down, and people just don't pay attention. So you got to look at those brake lights way ahead, like 6 or 7 car lengths ahead, to help you know that maybe you should start putting the brakes on, start slowing down, because majority of our accidents, especially on the 15, and she probably deals with it, is a lot of just rear enders, like because everybody stopped. Everybody else was able to stop, but you weren't paying attention. And another big one is the distracted driving. Reaching down, picking something up on your phone, doing something on the computer screen on your car. When you're driving, you gotta focus on driving. Just don't drive doing that.
Say that again. When driving, you need to concentrate on the driving.
Just the driving.
Just
Yep.
the driving.
Just
you know what I
It's
mean?
called
Like, you have a
distracted driving
wheel,
for something.
Right.
You
You have
know?
a
So,
you have a
yeah.
pedal, you have a gas and a brake, and that's what you need to worry about. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. We
Very
just got too many crashes happening on just even on the 15 from that stop and go traffic, people not paying attention. That's the
And that
big
we
issue
touched
we
on
got.
that, and that's one of we're going to continue to do that for all these episodes, which is to talk about the distracted driving and the following too close, because they follow too close and then they cut like this, and then there's a car right in front of them.
That stops, and you
Right.
got nowhere to go.
You got nowhere to go.
Yeah, when you take the other cars out on each side of you, there's just nowhere to go.
Okay.
That's scouting, Boy Scouts.
So the Boy Scouts are very important, and I think that's Sergeant Clifton up there, right?
It is.
Yes. And so, one of the things that the Nevada State Police does is they're always giving back. They're always wanting people to know that the badge is a very important thing and it's a badge of honor. And that if you ever feel like you can't, you need help, you need to run to someone with the badge. And so when I see things like this, and I see the youth, and I see people that are trying to get to the youth, every one of those children are going to be 16 and they're going to get behind the wheel. They're going to have choices to make, whether they do drugs, whether they don't do drugs, the people they're going to hang out with, all these type of activities. And so when you see the Nevada State Police go out there and do these type of things, it's very special.
I think it's exciting. I'm a Eagle Scout, and I enjoy seeing stuff like this because it's a builder for your future, and not only that, we're part of the community, troopers. I mean, we put these uniforms on every day to enforce the law and to protect and serve the community. But on the other hand, we have families at home too. We have kids. We're just like everybody else. We're just wearing a uniform. But community involvement like this is very special to me because people that want to aspire to be something and learn more, and I can't speak too much more about scouting. Scouting is tremendous. It's awesome.
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you found that it was a good preparation for you in your life?
I thought it was, I learned to water ski. That's where I did my rifle, shotgun, archery, all kinds of things. We go to summer camps, all this stuff, and then you learn those are called merit badges. So let's say you wanted to be a veterinarian, they have like a veterinarian science merit badge or stuff, and you learn about those fields, and there's a whole book and testing on it in order to get your merit badge for that. And it's a very knowledge based, and plus, like in the summer or activities, they put you in different community events or activities to help your community out. And that's what scouting does. They go out and help everybody out in the community. So that's a lot like our troopers ourselves. We like to get involved in the community.
Yeah.
If you have a community event that you want us involved, contact our agency and we'll try to send a representative out there and get involved with your event or whatever. So.
And the Nevada State Police is at every single career agency everywhere. We are always putting it on Trooper Talk. That's why you're very famous. You know what I'm saying? We're always putting pictures of you up there. You know what I mean? But the thing is that it's very important because the Nevada State Police is out there in every single capacity that they possibly can for the positive. And the more people that we get positive in the younger, or the less people that are going to be apt to see you in a negative later on in life, because maybe they're going to remember. And if we can save one person, one leads to two, and two leads to three.
Yeah, because that one person that we have an interaction with, they end up having an interaction with somebody. So right here we got 6 kids. So they're going to have friends they're going to talk to of what they experienced, not only trying to recruit them to Eagles or to Boy Scouts, right? Because they have a role model here, what they might want to end up being,
Right.
and where it gets you in life. But those interactions, I remember as a kid, I did something, dumb in a park one time, just hanging out after hours and talking to the police officers. But it wasn't a negative interaction, but the interaction that I did have with them kind of was like, you know what, they look pretty cool in uniform. I ended up going to the military because, the Marines have a really good uniform, and it kind of trumps this. But
I was also a Marine.
yeah, so
We're both Marines.
so he understands,
so,
and
yeah.
maybe that's why we get along.
Right.
But it sets you up for life, and the socialization that they're going to have as kids, doing all these different things with their merit badges and earning something, is going to set them up, for life.
And,
really.
and we talked about it the last time when you were here about the military, and that one of the best things about transitioning from someone out of the military is to go into law enforcement. And so that's one of the things that people are able to talk to you about because you have personal experience with that. And so people all the time are leaving the military for positive reasons, but they want to continue to do something. And so you're able to talk to them and do the recruiting, right?
Right. I got out in 2009, and my whole goal was to go to school. I went to CSN. I spoke to one of the criminal justice teachers that I had there, and he wanted me to come work for him as school police. But I was like, you know what? My eye is on that prize of getting a degree, so I just stuck with it. I was working at the hotels like her for 6.5, 7 years. And then I was like, you know what? I need to find that camaraderie. I need to find that team again. And luckily, life put me in this direction of coming to our agency because I don't want to go anywhere else. Just interactions that I have of the civilian side, the people that I have, troopers, parole probation officers, the academy staff that we have is just phenomenal. And where I work is almost like I don't dread going to work because of the people that I interact with, not only in the public, but the people I interact with at work. It's just great. I love going to work.
And it allows you to do your job better.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like for the people, because the people that you're interacting with, they need your help.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they really need your help. So if you're a negative person, and you feel that, it's not going to be good, And so when it comes to the dispatchers, I'm sure you have camaraderie, between all the dispatchers, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You share things and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, the great thing about this agency is there's not so many dispatchers that you don't know your partner and you don't know what they're capable of, and you trust them, you trust their abilities to dispatch. But another great thing about this agency is I know my troopers. I know the second their voice changes, I know that something is wrong. I know all of their badge numbers and all of their last names, and you don't really get to say that for other agencies that are so big that you're just a number. I know that the second something is going wrong with my trooper, I know what I need to do. I know where I need to focus, and it's there's something to be said about that, right? There's something to be said about just knowing someone's voice, just knowing someone and how they operate day to day. I know certain troopers, I could word for word tell you how they're going to put out their traffic stop because I'm just that familiar with their traffic. I know which troopers are guaranteed to get DUIs because that's just what they do. Schlater is, the king of DUIs, right?
Yeah.
We all know that. And so with those larger agencies, you don't get that. And I wanted to kind of touch on this,
Yeah.
because I don't think we realize that is our future, right? This youth, that is our future. And so to paint law enforcement and dispatch and government jobs and things in a positive light is really important because that's what we have to look forward to, right? These are the people that are going to be, our lifeline to our troopers. These are the people that are going to be our lifeline from the community to the troopers, to paint dispatch and law enforcement and things of that sort in this positive, bright light, and to be, be there for community outreach and youth outreach and things, and that's important. And larger agencies, you get that, but with state police, we're such a small agency that we build relationships so easily with our partners, with Metro and things of that sort. But then you also have, things like this that we get to do, and it's really important for our future, I would say.
I think it's cool because you know the troopers so well by their voice. And
Yeah, I know it's troopers. I've watched some of their kids grow up,
listen,
and you don't get to say
right.
that.
And we're a tight knit group. Like we've talked before about dispatchers, and
Right.
she's correct on knowing if something's wrong with your voice or whatever. They interact with you daily, and we're such a smaller agency, even though we're statewide. Everybody knows everybody, like we just talked about.
Yeah.
Smaller than a high school. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows what they do or what they're supposed to be doing, and that's what's so great about our agency. Is it's such a tight-knit agency, and everybody works together to get the job done. Also, I wanted to add on, when we talked about the military,
Tell me.
we're looking for military members to come across, because I'll tell you,
tell everybody right
yeah,
there.
the majority, I'm not going to say the majority, but a lot of our troopers are former, even retired military with 20 plus years. One of my old supervisors, he was retired from the Air Force. I don't know how many Air Force people that we had, but I mean, we have all branches. Just because we have an Air Force base, but a lot of people, when they retire, they want to still do a uniform job, and this is something that they get right back into, and they enjoy it. So
And do they
we're always taking military, because they know how to do pretty much the type of work that we're doing. They're just getting a different training from the military, but wearing the uniforms and taking orders what to do and go out to do it. So they're ready to do it.
I was just going to ask. So, but when you retire from the military, you get, like, after so many years, you get a pension,
Correct.
right?
After
So-
20 years.
right?
yeah.
And so, if someone is in the military, excuse me, for those years, and they get their pension, and then they work for the Nevada State Police, they, just like you described earlier, they could actually have double pension.
Well, they're
it-
building second retirement.
Second
actually.
retirement,
So
yeah,
what's
right.
happening is they're collecting their check from the government. They're
Right.
getting their 20 years.
Right.
And now I'm trying to do it. My son's in the Air Force right now,
Uh-huh.
and what I try to tell him, hey, if there's nothing going on, the economy doesn't look that good, just stay in, because you're set. Because he went in right out of high school, wanted to serve, and he'll be 38 years old with 20 years. He could get a retirement.
Uh-huh.
He could work another 20 years if he decided to work for us. He'll only be 58 and have 2 retirement checks coming in if he does it right. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying,
So,
right.
and then he's still young, because at 58, I mean, and you got 2 retirement checks for the rest of your life. I mean, you can't beat that. So we do. I just wanted to address that if you're in the military looking at getting out, look us up. Look what we're all about, because we love having the military. People in the military come and work for us also.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's
yeah.
fantastic, and I'm glad we all touched on that. You know what I'm saying? It's very important. Look at
Who's that?
Huh?
Right there. And there's
telling you,
our
we-
website,
that's the picture, right?
Yeah,
NevadaStatePolice.com.
we put this all the time on
Yeah.
there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Might know that guy. He looks good in uniform right there.
when you want to do the recruiting, you don't have enough things to do in your day that now you want to take on this task of doing the recruiting. It's very important to you. And so, just like we talked about with other agencies, and you touched on, no one is doing personalized service. You need to talk to you because I'm emotional and I don't know if this is the job that I want to do. Can you talk to me? Can you help me with my pull-ups? I'm a little bit overweight. I can't really do them. My arms aren't strong enough. You know what I mean? Like, you take the same approach that you do for parole and probation as you do when it comes to the recruitment. You take the most positive step because all you're trying to do is to get more people involved. And again, one of the things that's really cool is that the Nevada State Police has all these different, I forget what you call them, but different areas, right, that you can join right? So like if you know, and you know, if you want to do parole and probation for a few years, and then you want to go to be a trooper, you know, and then you want to go up to Elko, or you want, you know, like there's all these different things that you can do while you're remaining in the same agency. And one of the most positive things that I always see, and I talk to everybody, is that everybody that's on Nevada State Police loves it. Like, you never talk to somebody that works for Nevada State Police and they go, you know, this job really stinks. Like, I don't like it. I don't want to be here. Like, it never happens. And you know, when we had Miss Stevenson on, Emily, right? She worked in the office, and you think like, oh, this is like she hates her job, but no, she was so positive and like explaining and this and that, and so when it comes to Nevada State Police, it's a wonderful agency to work for. I'll start with you, and then we'll ask everybody. Go.
Yeah, so like you said about the divisions, what we call them, of what our agency has. You start off as a trooper or parole and probation officer, but then you have the ability to extend your career if you feel like you're getting stagnant. Of, you know, you don't want to be a trooper for, you know, however long, maybe 10 years. You want to switch to something else. We have fire marshal, Nevada Department of Investigations, so that's like our detective division. Strictly investigations for, you know, the entire state as well. Dignitary police, and then Capitol Police as well. So we have so many avenues that you can go into that your 20 years are going to go like that. Or you're 29.
You're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you could not be here. You could be sitting somewhere on a beach or wherever it is that makes
back
you
in my
happy.
pool. Yeah.
Back in your pool,
Yeah.
right? And you could be just sitting there and enjoying the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But you deemed that it was so important that you wanted to come back and you wanted to fill this job because it was that important to you for many reasons, but at the end of the day, it's your heart. And so your heart is here, and that's why you're here.
You know, I started off with a different agency, like the sheriff's office, the Metropolitan Sheriff's Office, a while back. But one of the things in the back of my head, I did K-9, and I was doing drug interdictions on the interstate as a deputy sheriff. But then I started working around a lot of the troopers, and what I noticed that their uniforms were always pressed, clean. These guys were sharp. They had their stuff together. Always had their campaign hats on. And I said, you know what? That's something that I want to do the rest of my life, because just looking at them, I was just in awe to say that. And there was nothing more proud when I had graduated from the academy than earning the title of state trooper. You know, and there's a lot that goes into being a state trooper, but just not only the name, but what it represents. You're representing the state of Nevada, and you're assisting not only the people that live here, but the visitors alike that come across this state, this great state of Nevada. So I take great pride in being a state trooper and working for the Nevada Highway Patrol, Nevada State Police. And I can't see me doing anything other than that, because the career I had, I got to do a lot of cool things. You know, when I was on as a state trooper, I got to work motors, which is your motorcycle stuff here in Vegas. Yeah. I worked highway drug interdiction. I've had 3 police canines in my career. I worked on the governor's dignitary protection, and now I'm coming back as PEIO. So there's just so many different fields, so many different things that you can do to expand your career with the Nevada State Police. And I just urge people to just look into it. If it's something that you've always thought that you wanted to do it. And I got a perfect example. When I went to the academy, I came over as a lateral academy because of my prior law enforcement experience. But I had a gentleman that was in charge of the language department at USC. He was a professor. And I'm sure he was making $250,000 a year or whatever, but he was pretty much towards retirement. But in the back of his mind, he always wanted to be a state trooper. And I thought, wow, this is incredible. He was like 64 years old going through my academy, passed it, and was a trooper with us for quite a while. And then he ended up switching later on. I think he did maybe 5 or 6 years as a trooper, and then he switched to Capitol Police. Oh. And and I thought, wow, that's some dedication. It's something in the back of his mind that, hey, I thought that would be kind of cool to do, or always wanted to do. Even though he had a great job, we know it's a pay cut because of what he was doing, being a head of a department for USC, but he got to do his dream job in this. And for people that always thought about this, it's worth trying out. What do you got to lose? If it's a job that you've always seek, when we were younger as kids, we always thought, ooh, I'd like to do that as a job or whatever. If you have that in the back of your head thinking about that, why not give it a try? I mean, you got nothing to lose. This is a great agency to work for, and we have so many opportunities and different levels that you can go to that I would never turn up the possibility if you wanted to do something like that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, do you get, not to pry, but you got a pay raise last year too?
We just got the pay raise that the rest of the state
Like the
got.
rest of the state does,
Yeah,
right?
so it wasn't as significant as the troopers, unfortunately.
Right,
We could definitely use one.
right.
But yeah,
But you got something, right?
yeah, but the rest of the state, whatever the rest of the state got.
And they're supposed to do maybe one this year too, right?
I'm not
Or
sure.
you're not? No. I know you still get like the extra pay and all that type of
We
stuff.
actually
for
do. We do
bilingual
get
and
an
all.
11% raise
This
July
year?
of 24. I'm not sure if that's for civilian staff, but at least the law enforcement gets the 11% this year too.
Right. And
In addition to the 23 we got last year.
right. And for the extra stuff that you do, the bilingual and the spiel
Yep.
and all that stuff, you get always the extra.
Correct. The special unit pay. So 5% for
Special unit pay, right?
PIO, recruiter, 5%.
11% in July.
11% July.
Okay. It's tremendous.
Well, you get done with that academy, you could look at another 11%
Right.
if you're thinking about joining Nevada
That's right,
State
yeah,
Police.
100%.
I mean, you'll get another raise once you get on.
And
So-
he actually touched on another recruitment point is
Yeah, tell me.
we do not have an age limit. There is a minimum age of 21, but there is no age limit to join.
So if you can pass and do all the tests and everything,
Oh.
we'll hire you. Well,
Yep.
I was just going to say, so the coolest thing about that is that we, in our minds, we think, oh, when we're 55 or 60 years old, our life is over, right? And so, now we have to sit on a beach.
well, and like the federal government, they put 38 or something after
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
federal jobs. So
Yeah.
a lot of people think that they think, oh, the state government's probably like federal government, but it's not.
Right. So like
So we don't
military,
have
yeah.
that cutoff. Yeah, like military or federal government's like 38 years of age or younger.
Oh.
So we don't have that age limit.
So that's really cool. And,
Yeah.
and again, touching on the fact of, that, somebody that's an elder state, provides a lot of wealth of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And so it's very
Well, even
cool.
myself, I joined at 30, and I'm 36 now. That life experience that I have, maybe if I joined when I was, 21, I wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
But at 30, you have a lot more experience.
And I was just going to say, when we had the corporal on from the academy, he was very specific and said, listen, if you have a thread that is out of place on your uniform during the academy, that means that you are going to forget a bullet in your gun when you need it. And so we start off with the thread and make sure that every single thread is exactly perfect on your uniform, so and so that way you don't forget anything.
It's muscle
and so
memory.
it's-
And we do that with all of our training too. When you go to the range and everything else, there's specific ways, because when you get in that critical incident or a situation that comes across, you got that muscle memory. You're going to do it every time. So if your uniforms are kind of out of touch, you need to keep them up touch, so you're always looking the part when you're out there doing your job.
Yeah, you never see a trooper out of place. You know what I mean?
Can I add something for
Yes, of
recruitment for
course.
dispatch? Well, we're about to go. You can skip. to the
No,
next
no,
slide,
no, of
because the
course,
next
we
slide, I
love
think,
it. Tell me.
is dispatch. But I was just going to say,
Tell me. Do you have specific uniforms?
if no,
Oh.
I wish that would be really great. But I did want to just point
Tell
out
me.
for recruitment, dispatch is not for everyone, right? But you can do a sit along. So just like troopers, you can do a ride along. You can do a sit along with dispatch. And I highly, highly recommend it, because you sit with the dispatcher, you see all the things they're doing, you listen to the phone calls, you listen to the radio traffic, and it really gives you a great perspective on whether or not it's something that you think that you are capable of doing, or something that you're you'd be interested in doing. Some people are like, oh wow, dispatch, that sounds so great. And then when you're in it and you're in the academy, you're like, well, this was not what I signed up for. And they leave, So in pushing sit-alongs for the public, it's a really great opportunity to kind of figure out if this is the direction you want to take, the career path that you want to be on.
And to do the sit-along, they would go to, if they want to be become a dispatcher, they would go to NevadaStatePolice.com, contact you through the Nevada State Police, and you would say, and they say, I want to be a dispatcher, and or how would they, how
Yeah,
would
so that's the networking that they can do. They come contact me through the website, and then I reach out to the dispatch representative to say, hey, we have an interested candidate, and then they have to put in an application process for the sit-along, just like a ride-along with us.
And you can do as many as you need. I recommend doing one on different shifts. Day shift is drastically different than our night shift. We deal with different people, different troopers, different situations. So to be able to have the opportunity to do that is huge, to really give you good insight on whether or not this career is right for you. But even just to understand what we go through on the daily, when I'm asking you to hold because I've got radio traffic, recognizing that I've got traffic in this ear and traffic in this ear, and I'm still pushing along on my keyboard and doing certain things. It's a good way to really to see what we do and we're capable of at State Police.
And can you do a? I know you can do a ride along with the Highway Patrol. Can you do a walk along with you?
Yeah. So it'll be kind of be both, right? You're going to do a ride along. You're going to drive with us, and then you'll start walking with us too. So yeah.
Right. No, but they can go with if they're interested in parole and probation.
Definitely.
They can go with you and see what that's like.
Absolutely.
How many jobs allow you to do something?
No, that
You know what I'm saying?
This is
and
my
then
point.
it kind of gives you an insight of what we do, and it might be something that you love to do just by experiencing it and going out and seeing what they actually do every day.
And part of your dispatch academy is a ride along. You do a ride along in your dispatch academy with the officers. You do each shift. I don't know if they do it with parole and probation anymore. When I came on 5 years ago, they did.
You went with parole and probation
Yeah,
too,
we did
just to
each
see.
shift and parole and probation. I don't know if they do parole and probation now, but as a dispatcher in training, you do ride along with the troopers for their entire shift.
So that you know what's going on.
What they're capable of, because you don't. It's hard to see what's happening on the other end for troopers and dispatchers, and I think we forget, what they're going through, and they forget what we're going through, and so it's an opportunity to see each side of the job and how they function together.
Yeah. Star
Great stuff.
NHP.
Yeah, Star
Star
NHP,
NHP
Star
gets it right to you,
647,
right?
Star NHP. Yes.
Right, you know what I'm saying? All right, look at this. Who are all these
These
people?
are all of our dispatchers.
Dispatchers.
So these are some
Ah,
northern
yes.
and some southern dispatchers.
Good.
So the dispatchers, so she's sitting there, so that's like one of the screens up in the top right? So you can see, you have screens and monitors and this and mice and mouses and
Yeah.
phones. But one of the coolest things that you could see in all of them
They're
is
people, just like everybody else.
They're people, and you can
Yeah.
see they're calm. You can look in their eyes and you know that they're just calm. And you have to be a special person to be a dispatcher. Just like you have to be a special person to be a trooper. It's not for everybody, but to be a dispatcher, which is very important. Part of the talking today of Trooper Talk, which that's why we appreciate you being here, is the fact of discussing the fact of how we can get more dispatchers. You know what I mean? It's very, very important because we have to get more dispatchers. And so when we see things like this, we know that they care, and we know that they've gone through the academy and that they're prepared. And so if you need them on a stop because something goes awry, you know that you can get on your radio and you're going to call and somebody's going to be there for you.
For us, we know that they're going to be able to take care of us, even if we've never met them before, just because of that calmness, the ability to put out information in a very strategic way. We know that they have our back.
Neil. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and I'm not putting words in the mouth, but I'm sure that sometimes things go awry. Like all of a sudden, you knock on a door and somebody like pulls out a firearm right in your face. I could only imagine. And so like you're calm, and then it's 0 to 1,000 in one quarter of a second when you're like, I mean, I can only imagine, and that's why having somebody like yourself, when you say that you hear the voice changes, that allows you to help them even faster because you already know.
And our troopers know. They're already going to the area when they know that they hear it in their voice or whatever. They're going to that area. One good thing I said about our dispatchers being our lifeline, if they don't hear from us within 30 minutes, they do a status check. And what they'll do is they'll call you, and then we just give them our location, and we let them know that we're code 4, which we're okay. And then they'll just reset the timer. So every 30 minutes, if they don't hear from you, if something's not going on or whatever, they're gonna check on you. Now, if you're on a stop or a situation, might check a lot sooner, and plus you're gonna be doing checks or whatever. But yeah, they pretty much make sure that we're
the big
okay
brother
all the time.
of state
checking.
police.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what's important, and again, that's why it takes a special quality for someone to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
I the things that I'm capable of 5 years in, I did not think that I was capable of when I started. I will never forget when I sat down with my first trainer and I looked at the screens and I looked at all the P numbers and all the names. I was like, I'm supposed to keep track of that? I need to know all of that? And then not to mention the geography of the entire state of Nevada. There are state routes that I'm familiar with that I could tell you where they're at that I didn't even know existed. I didn't know what a mile marker was before I was a dispatcher. And now I find myself educating people on mile markers and state routes and things of that sort. So it's growing as a dispatcher and seeing what you're capable of. And, is multitasking a real thing? I don't know, but we do it every day. I mean, truly we do it every day. And to just kind of reflect back on where I was 5 years ago when I started. I left the state for about 8 or 9 months. I went to work for the city marshal's dispatch.
Oh.
And I'm back because the feel was just so different. This agency is truly a wonderful agency. But the knowledge that I have of the state and the things that I've learned and how capable I've become as a dispatcher is truly remarkable. And, working with other agencies, I'm sure is wonderful, but the growth and the teamwork and the, things that you feel for the state of Nevada, it's just completely different. And our training program, and the things that we train in the geography and things of that sort. I mean, like I said, 5 years ago, I could not keep track of a single unit. I had no idea what was happening. Our screens were so intense. Now I could have 50 units on a screen and know where every single one of them is, what their voices sound like, what their P number and their last name is without even looking. It's like a second language now.
Yeah, I learned last week that there's an I-11.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no. I both say, yeah.
Right, I had no idea. You know what I mean? Trooper Cicino was on last week, and he said he was driving, and he had he pulled somebody over, or whatever, or, and he said the guy said he was going on I-11, and so when I went to take my car down to drop it off in Henderson, right before the freeway split, right? So I'm driving down, and I'm looking up the sign. I see, oh look, there's I-11.
Yeah, and that's part of my job too, is educating the public on locations, right? Because the average person doesn't know where they're at. The average person gets on the highway because this is their daily commute and that is what they're familiar with. And so the average person goes from home to work. They don't pay attention to cross streets. They don't know what mile markers are. They don't know what highway they are on. It is my job to know all of those things for you. It is my job to aid you in figuring out where you are, and there's so many tools these days. A lot of my calls, when they're in the middle of nowhere, do you have an iPhone? If you have an iPhone, I'm familiar with iPhones. Let me show you how to give me your coordinates from your iPhone map. If you use Google Maps, let me show you how to pull this Google code to give to me, to put into Google, to tell me where you're at, because you have no idea. And these are things that the average person doesn't even think about, because realistically, you go through your day like you do every day, and that's just it. You don't know what highway you're on. You don't know what a mile marker is. You don't know what cross street you're at or the direction of travel you're going. But that's my job to know.
already she's confusing me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking, holy smokes, you know what I'm saying? But it's the truth.
Yeah,
know
you know,
what I'm
and every
saying?
job is like overwhelming at the beginning.
Right.
But once you learn the job and get going, it's
Yeah,
just like
it's-
second nature.
it's-
I
you
mean,
just do
she
it.
can do it, and she can just
I
put
know
it
what I
all
have
out
to
there.
do, and I just do it.
And that's what you need to do to keep everybody safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for Officer McClarty, you know, when he's with a person or on the road or whatever. You know what I mean? Here it is. All right, Officer McClarty, this one's for you. Because I know you're
Is
not
this
a
the
trooper.
funny slide?
Yeah, because
Okay.
this is because I know you're not a trooper,
Yep.
but I want you to see this. You ready? Did you know you can't ride a camel on the highway? That in the 1800s, camels transported goods across the desert of Nevada. Apparently, camel traffic on highways became a problem and was soon outlawed. However, Nevadans can still ride camels on city streets.
You know, there's another one on this, and I don't know if it's still in law.
Yeah.
There used to be you couldn't fish off the back of a camel, you know, by a lake or whatever.
You
and I think
can't?
they're no. I don't know
You
what the
can't?
law was, but it was back in the
Really?
yeah, it was a Nevada law a long time ago. We looked at it, we had a big laugh about it. We're like, what the heck?
Right.
So you know, but sometimes there's some laws on the books that nobody's just really got rid of. You know, we live in today's times. Look at 1800s. You don't have any more camels on the
I don't know.
roadway.
Have you ever seen a camel on a road?
I was trying to.
Yeah, that's
no.
what I'm saying, right?
I've seen peacocks, but I haven't seen camels.
Now I have seen camels by the road though. Up by Bunkerville, they have this camel refuge up there.
and you
Going
saw
to Bunkerville,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they did a little. Had some camels walking along the side of the road.
The
up
side
there.
of the road,
So
okay.
I can say I've seen that.
Dang.
Yeah.
I was looking yesterday because they have the new laws, you know, that came out in Nevada. You know what I'm saying? And so one of the things was one of the websites had, you know, funny things of for Nevada, and you know what I mean, like, and all these type of funny things. And you know, I brought this up because people think that they can walk on a freeway, which they're not allowed. People think they can ride a bike on the freeway, and they're not allowed. They think they can take a moped on the freeway, and they're not allowed. That it has to be something that is driving of a speed that is, you know, is capable of 65 miles an hour. Because what I've noticed is that people are taking type of things like this, and they're always in the far right lane, and it's causing accidents because people have to then drive at 65 or whatever, and then they have to swerve away. And so I brought this up. I thought it was very funny. You know what I'm saying? But it like as a very serious thing that, you know, we need to watch what it is that we go on the freeways with, because you can't ride, a camel or a horse on the freeway. And so anyway, I just
And
thought
some
it
of
was
the
very
rural areas too, we have a lot of problems with ATVs. And they think they can just take the state routes, the regular state routes, because they don't believe anybody's on there. But they're so dangerous because you got the speeds and you got the up and down hills, and you're just on an ATV. So we always, you know, we don't like to ticket them. You know, a lot of times if you're in a rural area, and I know people want to go out and have fun, but we'll talk to you and let you know that you can't have them on a state route or any kind of highway, but just to drive it on the right shoulder, you know what I mean, and as long as it's permissible. And if they have to get on the road, if there's no cars, and then come right back in, they can do it that way. But yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, how do we get pedestrians on the 15 when there's no walkways, and they
right.
end up walking out there?
That's the point.
That is one of the most deadliest things, because you got 6 travel lanes in each direction that are traveling anywhere from 45 to 65, depending on the day and the traffic. But people aren't going to be able to stop. You want to talk about a massive collision if they did strike them, and then you got all these cars. You could have a 20, 30 car pileup easy, you know,
and
depending on the day.
And we had one of the rugby players last year who lost his life, you know, because he went onto walked across the freeway. And so the pedestrian traffic is no place for a freeway.
No.
You know what I mean? Yep. So anyway, very funny, right?
That was very funny.
Hey, back in the day, like early 2000s, I'll just bring up as far as these laws. Early 2000s, we used to get this big blue book from as troopers, and then we get these inserts because when the legislature every 2 years, if they change laws or anything, we'd have to open that big book and put the new laws in and everything, and then throw the old ones out and all that.
Oh.
But yeah, there's a lot of laws in the books. You're just looking at, wow, that's
One
crazy.
of them was,
eh?
I thought was very funny. Like in Elko or something like this, you can't kiss a woman with a mustache.
You got women with mustache?
I don't know. Who knows what happens.
It's a circus?
But here's what I got for you. You ready for the next one?
Yes, sir.
We don't have all the statistics in yet. Did you work New Year's Eve?
I did.
Okay. So I want to talk to you about that. And I know that Trooper Talk is running a little bit longer, but I appreciate this is very important. You know what I mean? All right. So on New Year's Eve, we know that people are going out and doing activities that are going to impair their judgment. But on that day, you had 35 DUI arrests, 8 arrests from 7 different crashes. 1 crash resulted in 2 DUI arrests, 26 arrests from other enforcement not resulting in a crash. You were crazy about this before, and now this is making me like, are you kidding me?
And this is only from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
12
on
hour
New
time
Year's.
span.
And we don't have the stats for that whole New Year's Day that
Right.
one a day out on. This is just from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. One thing I do want to say, as big as Vegas puts these events on, for New Year's, it was a very successful. We didn't have any major incidents, and it looks like a lot of the people that came in to enjoy the festivities had a good time. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, 35 DUI arrests, unacceptable. I mean, I how many times do we have to reiterate, do not drink and drive or have that? Some of these, I couldn't tell you what the 26 arrests are. It could be drugs in the vehicle, it could be for reckless driving, could be numerous things, but we also had 1 crash that resulted in 2 DUI arrests. And remember when we talked before, I've had people that were drunk, were the drunk driver, but they got hit by another DUI, so you both go. You could be the one not at fault, but you're both going to go because you're both DUI, under the influence or impaired of something.
And we had, and again, not putting any words into anyone's mouth, according to news agencies that are in Nevada, right? This could have been the cause of what happened with the troopers. Because there was a car there where the person was arrested for suspicion of DUI after the troopers were tragically murdered. And so, it's too much. And so, I give you a lot of credit, okay? Because I don't know how I would be able to remain calm. Again, the first DUI, listen, you made a mistake, you know what I mean? Like this, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I don't even know if I could take it if somebody had one. It just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? There's no reason in the world that someone should have a DUI in Las Vegas. If you live in a city where there's no Uber and all these type of things or whatever, I guess it's a different story. But we have that, just like you said. And so when you go into a house or whatever, I give you a lot of kudos for what you do to remain calm. And you see even worse things than this. I could only imagine the things that you see or hear about that you have to help someone. But what you do is so important, because even though it rips the heart out of me and everyone else, you still have to find goodness in your job to try to help them.
Well, we understand that we have a job to do, so there's strict rules, regulations that we have to follow, and we put forth that effort in addition to humanizing the badge of giving advice and things like that. But it's a tough job to do, but we enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you always put a smile on your face. I've never seen you not with a smile on your face. You know what I'm saying? Whitney, New Year's Eve. So you're working, right? So you wake up, you do whatever you do, and then you prepare. I mean, like, do you prepare yourself mentally?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
I just hope for the best.
right. So
you
you
know,
go
I
to
show
work,
up,
and,
I do my
and
job.
like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, as soon as you go into work, like chaos starts, or no?
You know, it varies year to year. I've had a year where New Year's whooped my butt, and I was nonstop the entire night, didn't eat, didn't breathe, nothing like that. And then there's other New Year's where there's not a whole lot happening. This year, we didn't have any fatal accidents, anything like that. There was nothing of major significance that occurred. It was busy, you know. We have units that are out there doing their thing, but yeah, New Year's it's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes New Year's is chaos, and then other times it's just another day, you know.
But you have to remain calm
Yeah.
throughout the whole entire time, and for what you do.
Yeah.
And so it's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, really, whether it's cheesy or not, we are kind of that calm in the storm. You know, if I'm not calm, my trooper's not calm, and my caller is not calm, and you know, and callers are not calm. I'll tell you that they are not calm at all.
Yeah.
You know, and I never aim to tell someone to calm down, because it's just not really what you do. I'm here, focus on my voice, you know, focus on the things that I'm saying to you,
Or
answer
don't
my
ever say
questions.
calm down.
No, I've never once told someone to calm down.
That has
on
the
phone.
opposite effect.
That would
Yeah.
be, that would be
Yeah,
total
yeah, never
You all
once.
said
Yeah,
that at the same
that's
time.
it,
Like,
yeah.
no. We don't tell people to calm
Yeah,
down.
no, I try to, you know, if I have a really frantic caller, you know, okay, I'm here, focus on my voice, the questions that I'm asking you. You know, there's ways to go about asking people to calm down without saying, I need you to calm down, because that might be someone's calm, you know. They might just be a frantic
Oh,
person, you don't
right.
know.
Okay.
But who am I to tell someone that they're not being calm? And of course, I don't want that opposite effect, because I don't want that person to get upset with me, because people, when they call in, are already upset as it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, if I elevate my voice, which does happen from time to time, you get callers that are really rude and you know, say mean things and things of that sort. But if I elevate my voice, then my trooper is elevating his voice, and then my caller is elevating his voice, and the whole purpose of dispatch is to, you know, keep it all together. You know, so it's important to kind of just go into your day like just any other kind of day.
And let me ask you one more thing. Like, when you're private and you like and no one's around, you just go into a wall and just scream for a second or something like that.
You know, we
like,
take
ah!
we take a lot of walks. You know, we're pretty good about. The good thing about our agency is, you know, unfortunately, we don't get like lunches and things like that. You know, it's dispatch. You just don't do that. But mental health is a huge thing.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm
right?
asking you. Right.
Is a massive thing, and this job is not easy for anyone involved, sworn or civilian, for anyone. And so you get a hard call, you take a walk, you know, you have a conversation with someone, you reach out for help, whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, our lots of walks, you know, I take a call and it's a crazy hectic call, or someone who's really irrational and rude and doesn't want to listen to me. You know, a call where you're having a hard time controlling it. You take a walk, take a break, step away from your console and the public and the phone, and breathe. And, you know, I mean, really, that's all you can do. You know, I'm here for the public's, you know, their emergencies. So if I were to push away from my console or to, you know, hang up on someone, I'm not doing my due diligence to that civilian, to that person that needs my help. So.
And we talk about, and we'll finish with this, that, you know, the fact of the officer wellness, you know, that sometimes when things are very bad, that you need someone to be able to talk to, and it's not that you're not a warrior and you're not all these type of things, but sometimes, you know, you need, and so one of the things that I always love about the Nevada State Police is that they all recognize that, and they all say, you know, like, I have a buddy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm really freaked out, I make a phone call. You know, like Trooper Wellman always used to say, you know, she used to call Sergeant Smacka. She used to go on a PIO call, 3 o'clock in the morning. They wake her up. She's a baby that's passed away next to a thing, and she would make a phone call and just be like, look, I I just need just give me 2 minutes. You know what I mean? And so it's very important. So no, I'm glad. All right. So now, don't look at this. All right. So now, you don't know what this means, Whitney, but I'm going to tell you. This means that you've completed Trooper Talk. Okay, yeah, see? Right, so we can all clap. Whitney, appreciate you. You know, your insight, fantastic. You know what I mean? Officer McClarty, you know, it's fantastic. I love having you come on and you know, talk about the recruitment and talk about all these things. You know what I mean? It's really, it's very special, and people really recognize. And for you, look, it's cool because we don't know each other. And for me, as I said to you before we went on the air, we're brothers. And so I want to do everything I can to support what you're doing in every way because it's so important, because we need to get this message out there so we can change people's lives in the better and not allow them to do anything else.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. I
Yeah,
mean, we
so-
got a great group here today.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Very
Oh,
well
they wanna come back
spoken,
next
and
week?
Thank you, absolutely.
Yeah, come work for us.
Right, come work for us. You know,
Yeah,
just put up your
absolutely.
hands. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? All right, so
So-
now we're gonna face this camera right here,
Yep.
and then we're gonna wave, and then Trooper Talk for this day is over. So see you later.